All right, we are starting up in kind of the middle, kind of sort of west, middle area. Here. Maybe I should just make this a dot. I guess it doesn't really matter.
We're gonna come back and be like, what is that?
I'm going to label it right now so I don't forget.
Just right, inconspicuous area, or like
Right.
totally not sus.
I had no idea where this city was going to be for right now. This is very interesting placement of this. Like in the middle of 3 orbs when we go back to the main campaign.
And it's like, it makes sense because it's outside the wilds, right?
Yeah. Back on the map layer. Okay, we are starting in the it's kind of like a port town. Actually, I'm gonna move this a little bit over. Port town in the sense that it is Jesus. Learn how to use this technology, DM. God. It is right on the river here. Up at the top of the river, this was. I wonder if I have the original. Map, like the hand-drawn map. I must at some point.
Oh, I can bring it up.
So I think there were more names of things.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely
There it
river
is.
stuff named.
Yeah, so this is the Salt Rock River. And up at the top, there is a lake, and up down at the bottom, there is another lake in this patch of trees here. This is the Salt Rock North. Not Salt Rock River, and then this is the Shimmering Lake North and Shimmering Lake South. So we're right in the middle of those two lakes. And Nox is not a very important location as far as big to do in general for the continent. Not much happens there. Nothing important of note has happened there historically. The only thing that it is really known for is being named after the 5th Tithe champion. Was an Aarakocran scout.
Nice.
He, for a little bit of extra lore building, he was kind of an elemental primal magic user. So he could control the wind. He basically the humanoid investiture of wind, essentially. And he became the first general of the Northwest Quadrant. So kind of up and to the left from where Nox is, that's where he ruled. Not ruled, but oversaw. when he was living. He's no longer alive.
So that was very early on in the ties then.
It was very early on. That was back before the tithes were widely known to be deadly. Um, the tithes that Knox won only saw one casualty, and it was by accident. Back then, they did the most that they could to keep all contestants alive through to the very end. It was more of an Olympic style thing than a very public fight to the death, which it is now.
What's the explanation of the accident? I don't know if you have that prepared or.
Yeah. So the person that was tithed was older than the casters believed him to be when he entered. And he typically they try and vet people. This was far before Gael or Ebish were generals that helped tithe individuals. They were much more carefree, a lot more cavalier with who they picked. It was more random, and typically they would ask them questions and make sure that they were okay with competing because it was more consensual of a relationship back then. But this person, he was not a veteran tithe. He was just a simple farmer who entered as a novice, and he had a pre-existing condition. He had some type of disease that he just overexerted himself, and his body wasn't able to hold up to the rigors of competition. So he technically died of natural causes, but if he was autopsied in the modern age, it would be some type of heart attack or stroke or something like that.
Okay.
Imagine he was like 76 years old, farmer.
He was not. He was not. He was in. I guess maybe he was super old for the time, but as far as we in 2023 America are concerned, he was relatively middle aged, maybe late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
A late 50s Olympian.
Yeah. Within very good shape. Like both he and the casters assumed that he would be able to do it, and they were wrong.
Yeah.
But he was not killed by another's hands is the important piece.
That was before they had all the advertising for hydration and making sure that you drink your water.
Yeah.
And
no Gatorade ads
no
at the
Gatorade
times.
ads or no electrolytes. What is it called? God, what is that fucking movie?
Idiocracy.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly what I'm thinking of.
That's such a funny movie.
Yeah. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
I haven't seen it in like a decade.
One of the
Yeah,
Normans
you're
will do that. Welcome to the Shrine of Link. I love you.
Yeah. So I was going to make that floating globe just a completely separate entity, and at random I loaded the wrong map like a week and a half ago when I was prepping that, and it was the Vault of the Gods map, and I was like, oh, Norman was such a funny character, and because I did that, like I was like, oh,
a little spark.
why am I beating myself up to try and get this new 6 new characters as guides to these temples?
They can just be.
They're just all going to be Normans.
Yeah, they're going to be aspect of Norman Prime or something.
Yeah. When you get to the end of the campaign, it's going to be all of them. They just combine their energy to become a giant Norman, and that's actually the BBEG.
Yeah,
is Mega Norman.
Yeah, gargantuan Norman.
It's Tiamat, but it's Norman. It's a dragon with 6 Norman heads attached to it. All right. So Yoshimi and Ragna, you both find yourself in the city of Nox at the same time. You have not met before. I'd like to start with Yoshimi. The notable locations in the city, Yoshimi, I'm going to have you pick which location you want to start at. Actually, I'll have you both pick now, and then we'll go in order and then flip back and forth. So first and foremost, there is a series of docks that is very small trade routes. They run different things up and down the river, up to the Eagle Peaks and down to Cassis, as well as the Dark Pine Forest, which is the grouping of trees at the bottom of the river, the south of the river. It would be a shame to call it a port because it's not a big import-export operation, but it is a series of docks that boats can freely come in and out of. Pretty much at any time of the day, there would be boats coming in and out of there. There is a large market square with at least one of anything that you would think you would find in a city square. Blacksmith, a woodworker, a tailor, things like that. A textile shop, general store, a few taverns scattering the place. There is a temple. This temple specifically is to Ilmater, but it doesn't see a lot of use. The people that come in and out of the temple are mostly people that need a place to sleep, or people that need help with food or money or things like that. And then there is a guild hall. Nox is very close to Izamel, which is a mining town. And a lot of times miners from Izamel will come into the city to bring trade or just to get out and go to the shops. There isn't a lot of shopping available in Izamel, so sometimes they will cross the river into Nox just to go to the market and kind of have a few days of rest. So where would you guys like to start? The docks, the temple, the marketplace, the guild hall, or wherever the fifth place was that I said? The temple?
I have docks.
My vote's for the
Docks.
docks.
I was
Okay.
going to say there's docks, market square, temple, guild hall, right?
Okay. So of those four.
Is
Docks is my vote.
this an individual vote, or is this a which
Is it
where would you like to
individual?
go?
So you will be starting in different places.
Okay. You bet your sweet ass Ragna's going to that temple.
Okay. That's what I figured. All right, I'm going to start with Yoshimi with a few questions. Yoshimi, how long do you think you have been in the city of Nox?
Let's see here. I don't know. What's the recap at the beginning? I remember you describing where Nox is on the continent, but then I might have missed what we're doing here.
You don't know what you're doing here.
Did I show up for the portal here?
What?
Was I plane jumped here? Like, what's
Neither of you were plane jumped here because
Okay.
that happens 4 years in the future.
Okay. Did I wake up out of a sleep, like a slumber?
I'm asking you. I need you to tell me. How long have you been in Nox?
Oof. Blank slate here. Let's just say
Give me a number.
it's been 7 days.
Okay.
Recovering.
What have you been doing for 7 days? Recovering. Go
Yeah,
okay.
recovering from some combat.
Okay.
Let's see here.
There's plenty of combat to be had in the wilds, so Nox actually would make sense as a place, especially some type of hunter or fighter
Mm-hmm.
would go to recover. So that makes sense.
Okay. I'm on the mend. I'm healing. I'm on the convalescence path.
Okay. Down at the docks, there is a small uh, barracks along the water where you could stay, or you could stay at the tavern in the city, and you just happen to be down at the docks. Which would you prefer?
I don't have any money, so I would be looking for work slash room and board.
Okay. Yeah. So the docks, the small portsmith that is there, he always takes a welcome hand if he can get it. So if you are there looking for work, he has work definitely that he can offer you. So we'll just say this is the top of the morning, and maybe 6, 7 a.m. You wake up in the barracks down by the dock, and you can roll roll for give me a nature check, Yoshimi.
Okay.
I'll actually give you advantage if you've been working at the docks for 7 days, or like five days ish. Better part of 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Advantage. All right. 13.
I'm so sorry. My headphones came unplugged. What was your roll?
13.
13. So every day that you wake up, you're down at the docks, and you wake up to the same briny, salty smell. The river is not salty or briny. It just kind of comes off of the other people that are working there. It's a freshwater lake up to the top and to the north and south, so the river is always nice and clean. The people that are working on the dock, not necessarily the same way. Today, with a 13, immediately as you are awakened, you can tell that it's raining. Uh, the smell is completely washed away. It seems very nice and clean and natural. And walking out of your bunk, uh, just kind of a gentle drizzle, not a heavy rain of any kind. But you notice that the river is running the opposite direction. Usually it runs north to south, and it is running from south to north.
Oh shit. Does that change work for the docksmith? You
Not
complain.
too much.
Okay.
Not too much. A lot of the work that you've been doing is like general repair and rebuilding of existing structures, as well as building new structures. You've done some basic fundamental dock work, like pounding stakes into the ground under the water and securing those to create more space for newer or bigger boats to come in. Um, you don't really have a hand in a lot of the actual trading that goes on, just because you're not a tradesperson by nature.
Yeah,
So
for
he
sure.
will put your muscle to work where he can.
Okay. But he's not pissed off that he can't make it down to the south anymore as easily. And
Today, you actually don't see him within eyesight. Normally, he's the first one down there working before anybody else. But today, you're walking out about 7:30 a.m. You do not see him anywhere.
all right. Talk to some of the other workers who I don't know if they're in my boat. Figuratively, that they're not tradespeople. They may know a little bit more, like they're trying to work their way up.
Yeah, from where your barrack is located, You can see one worker that you have come to know pretty well over the last couple days that you know she also works on the docks, very similar to you. And then there's another gentleman, an elf, who is further out from you. You've only seen him one or two times because he does run goods up and down the river.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I guess I'd tell him I never saw that coming at the river.
Which one are you talking to?
The man, the elf.
Okay. Yeah. So you walk up to the man. He's kind of standing. You can see kind of littered around the dock area. There are a few stands set up for workers to buy food. Some of them have, like hot plates or fire started. If you have ingredients, you can make your own food. He is at one of the stands. He is buying a fish sandwich currently. And as you walk up to him, he'll say, "Oh, uh, Yoshimi, I think, right?"
Yeah, it's Yoshimi. And your name?
Bernard.
Well, Bernard, I've kind of worked up an appetite too. Do you think you could cover my lunch today? I haven't seen the Doc Smith to pay me for lunch, so
Of course, I actually just collected a pretty hefty sum from a job I just completed. My treat. No need to pay me back. And he will toss a few coins to the vendor, and he'll hand you a fresh fish sandwich as well. Because everybody loves their breakfast fish sandwiches.
yeah. I tend to pay you back. Nothing in this world is free.
I appreciate that.
The
Seen the river today.
Yeah, I have. Do you think that? I mean, that's the first time you've ever seen this, or
It happens every once in a while. Nobody really knows why it happens, but every 8 or 9 months or so, it'll reverse for a couple days. Some of the older workers think it's the gods making sure that the Eagle Peaks get their fair share of our goods.
It's got to make it difficult on the fish. Changing direction.
I hadn't thought about that. I'm sure it is.
Or it's also got to be hard on the fishermen too. Have to.
I can personally attest to that.
They have to.
Though
Have
not much fishing
favorite
happens
spots.
right on the river, so I think we're okay.
They go to the lake.
Yeah, typically a lot of the big fishing operations are on the coasts. Like Charvassus and New Ponteg are big fishing cities because they're right on the oceans. But some small time fishing happens at both of the shimmering lakes.
Is there any money in fishing, or is the money in running goods that you were talking about a hefty sum?
There's a bit of money to be made as a fisherman, but maybe 3, 4 times that as a runner of the goods. We're the ones that do most of the legwork, so we get most of the pay.
Do you have any open position?
Are you looking to run goods up and down the river?
She's looking for money opportunities to upgrade her, her gear, her sword. She was recently told by a DM to subtract one of her rare items, so
Really, really looking for magical items in the market.
He'll say, I'm not in a position to hire or fire anybody, but
you
when you see the Portsmouth next, I'm sure he'd be happy to give you an opportunity. You've been a great worker as far as I've seen this past week.
yeah, I could work here and make money at a slow pace, but if I went out on the transport, I could offer, protection. I kind of show off my longbow. It's on my back.
You actually may have a good point there. There's always a shortage of people trying to. Or there's always a. I was about to say there's always a shortage of people trying to kill us.
Hmm, hmm.
Always a shortage of protection on our boats. Sometimes it can be a bit dangerous going up and down this river.
Yeah, well, you just say the word, and when our boss returns.
And he'll say, "It was really great speaking to you, Yoshimi. I have to get back to my boat. I have an important run up to Eagle Peaks today, but I hope we can talk soon."
And I'd be just wolfing down the last of my sandwich and just sort of like waving, but can't speak. Or,
He
actually, I
will.
think Yoshimi would say bye, just like with a mouth of food.
Perfect. Okay. And he'll kind of laugh. He'll like give you a half laugh at that, and he'll walk out to one of his boats. You can see it already preloaded. It's got 3 or 4 crates that are fully sealed, 2 or 3 barrels that have their tops screwed on, and then a few extraneous bags of things that you may assume could be his personal effects that he uses to carry, or rations for the day for him. And you can watch as he gets into his boat alone. He is running this trip by himself, and he pushes off and starts paddling up the river towards the Eagle Peaks.
And then after he's gone, Yoshimi would, if anyone else, if no one else is looking, she would smell her armpit to see if she smells like everyone else.
Mm, make a medicine check, I guess.
Yeah. It is 7.
Uh, 7. It's still drizzling. It's hard to distinguish your own scent from the scent around you, but it doesn't smell bad. You just smell like skin.
Okay.
Not terrible.
Skin.
Nothing fresh though. Yoshimi, we're gonna leave you for just a moment
Mhm.
and switch over to Ragna. Ragna is. We're gonna start right around the same time in the morning. Are you already awake at 7:30, or are you just waking up?
This is assuming I had stayed the night in the city, correct?
I guess that, yeah. How presumptuous of me. How long have you been in Knox?
23 minutes.
Oh shit. Okay. Where did you wake up this morning?
I would say, let me pull up the map here. There's Knox. I would say traveling from the east.
Okay.
Um, Two-Faced Lake. That's that lake. So adventuring, not obviously from this morning, but was kind of a bit too far outside the city whenever nightfall had occurred the day before, and didn't really want to keep pushing on through the night. Rather would just hunker down and then I'll finish the last little 2-hour jog in the morning. So I would say kind of was skirting. If you were to draw an arrow directly from Two-Faced Lake to Knox, that was kind of the route she was taking, but obviously much
Okay.
closer. Um, so I imagine, to answer your question, Ragna's an early riser. She always has been, always will be, even though she needs that hours of sleep. So probably has already been up for a few hours, was making her way towards Knox, and has been in the city for a short time.
Okay. So you get into the city from the uh, eastern wall. You walk through uh, the wall. Are you? Do you have anything on your person externally that would signify you are a religious being?
Yes,
Okay.
there is. Do you need details or just a yes or no?
How how close would somebody have to be to you to distinguish that you are devoted to Selune?
I would say uh, probably within, just depending on obviously like everybody's vision
Hmm.
varies, right? But
Say that they
there's
have great vision. We're talking like clear vision, dark vision out to 120 feet.
yeah, I would imagine at a pretty good distance they could see the giant emblazoned symbol on her chest plate, on her
Okay.
full plate, which is
Uh,
relatively large.
Gotcha. Actually, the guards are going to make a. One of them will make a perception check. One of them will make a religion check to identify you from afar. Ooh, the first one rolled a 6. The second one rolled a 19, and they both have a +2 both. So the first guard who rolled for perception, that is a 7. So they don't see you coming. Uh, it's still very early. They're towards the end of their shift. They're the night shifters, the third shift guys. They don't see you coming until you're right up close, maybe 30, 40 feet away from their spires. Uh, so you'll see it's like a large gate with two turrets on either side and one
Hmm.
guy on either turret. You'll see the guy on the right hand turret start to raise up a torch and just kind of look out, and he'll have a longbow. You can see the shaft of a longbow next to him in the turret, and he's going to go to grab for it. The guy next to him, or the guy in the left turret, will call over for him to stop. He got a 20 on his religion check. And he'll say, they're devout or devoted to Selune. Don't shoot." But he will also yell down to you, "Traveler, stop where you are. What business do you have in Nox?"
I'm looking, I guess, yeah, Ragnar would look up towards the tower, right? Because it's like almost like a guard tower, if I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll say 25 feet up from where you are, from the ground.
Yeah, she will comply, stop moving, and then tilt her head up. I am here seeking out the temple that resides within Nox.
Guy in the right turret is going to say, "Which god do people worship here in the Temple of Nox?"
Would Ragnar know that off the top of her head?
Make a religion check. Or
Also,
history, your choice.
I had an idea.
Okay.
So the reason Ragnar is coming here is because she had previously. Now I don't know if this ties into the story because you said that Nox is pretty unsubstantial
Mhm.
of a town. My idea is that she had previously used legend lore, and it has driven her to this area or Nox, or maybe it's not necessarily in Nox, but something around the area, right? And this just happens to be the only place that has anything of substance near it. That's not the wilds, unless you go really far north or really far south.
Well, I mean, the the Vault of the Gods is like 3 feet
Yep, that way.
northeast.
Yep. And this is
Granted,
like,
it's buried, a mile below the surface, but
yeah,
still.
and this is kind of what has driven her to this kind of area, right? But it's not
Mhm.
like it's not, it's cryptic, right? The legend lore.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, use these coordinates. Uh,
Exactly right here. This is
yeah,
where you're going.
that's like 2 miles underground, approximately 6 miles northwest. Uh, okay, but you said a religion check.
either religion or history. I'll give you either one.
I'm pretty sure those are both balls.
Nice.
Yeah, history is a -1, and since I'm proficient in religion, because it's intelligence based, it's a +4. I'll roll that.
Hey,
It's a
I was gonna
plus.
say there's no way that Ragna doesn't have some type of proficiency in religion. That doesn't make any sense.
She didn't until level 13.
Perfect.
There's something ridiculous. Dirty 20.
Hey. Yeah, you would, especially if you called upon your deity for legend lore to kind of seek out places across the continent of note that you should be looking into. This not necessarily is a notable place, but it is notable in the sense that there aren't many temples to Ilmater in the like across the continent. So this is one of maybe 5 or 6. So maybe you just threw a dart at the map and said, wherever this lands, I'm going to go to the nearest temple of Ilmater. So you definitely would know that it is a temple of Ilmater, largely focused on serving the community, almost to the point of that being its only purpose above worship as a whole, which I suppose is very characteristic of Ilmater anyway. So, and you would know that too. So yeah, absolutely, you would know that. So he'll ask, what deity do the people of Nox worship in our temple?
The temple in Nox is to Ilmater. Very community driven. I sympathize with those situations on a personal level and have done a lot of community service in my past.
Two guards will look at each other. They're across the gates. They're about 15 feet apart. They'll look at each other across the gate, look back down at you, and look back to each other. The guy will take his hand off of his longbow. He'll say, "That's good enough for me. Do you have a name, traveler?"
Yes. I should just leave it at that.
I mean, you're welcome to do that. That is an option for sure.
That is not Ragna asked, but that would be funny. Do you have a name? Yep, sure do. Yes. My name is Ragna Valdis. I am an oracle of Seldene.
Especially the guy that rolled really high on religion, they will both seem very impressed by that. They are 100% on your side. You've said all the right things as far as they're concerned. And the guy on the right you'll see him walk back for a couple moments. You'll see his arm kind of wave down behind the gate. And as he does this, the gate starts to slowly open inward. And the guy on the right will say, "Come on in."
Much appreciated. And then still has not moved the entire time since they told her to just stop moving. And she will just keep continuing, which it was probably hard to see, but this entire time she hasn't been walking.
Right.
She's been flying, like floating just like 3 inches off the ground. We'll just kind
Perfect.
of float. And then,
That's a great way to conserve your energy, that's for sure.
yeah, especially in big fucking armor.
Ragna, make a survival check to find the temple in the city.
Balls. Oh, hey, it's wisdom though. It's wisdom.
Yeah, can't be that bad, right?
Yeah, that's at least a +5. Yeah, of course, like the religion check, which I have shit on, is going to go well. The survival check and be like, well, you end up in a bar.
Right. Yeah.
That's not too
17,
bad.
not bad, not bad. Yeah, you kind of ask around. People recognize that you are a cleric, and they will kind of just assume that that's where you're going. So they'll be happy to show you the general direction that you should be moving in. It takes you about 15-20 minutes to get to the temple the uh, from the gate, which isn't that bad. Somebody that knows the city really well, it'd probably take them about 10 minutes anyway. So you made pretty good time getting there. Upon getting to the temple, make a. I will give you either perception or survival. You can choose between the two.
I'm pretty sure my perception is burgeoning. Yeah, +10. I'll use that. Uh-oh.
Can you hear him outside?
Yeah, I heard uh-oh. Oh, of course. My perception. Oh no.
What happened there?
Fucking a 2 is what happened.
Did you take a bath? Hi, baby. Hi. Mwah. Thank you for the kiss. You want to say hi to everybody? Everybody being just the two of them this
The
day?
2.
His long hair.
I know. All I see is like, what? What is this?
You say
Uh-oh.
hi? Can you
There he
wave?
is.
The baby-sized chair.
Hi. He's like,
Wave, wave,
"Whoa.
wave.
Hi.
You say hi.
He's like, I don't know.
Do you see yourself up here?
Yeah, you see yourself?
Oh, yeah, he'll recognize himself.
Get your milk, buddy.
It looks
Are
so
you
funny
ready to go to bed?
seeing a baby in a chair with a microphone.
What do you have to
Carlos-
say for yourself?
Carlos is a former baby.
Mhm.
But this is true.
I am a former baby, that's for sure.
I don't like to talk about it often, but I was formerly a baby.
You ready to get some milk and go to sleep? Gonna go night night?
Oh yeah, milk time.
Let's get your milk and we'll go in your room and we'll decide. Okay.
Have a good night, okay?
Oh man, I hope they still have sit and spins.
Where's your milk at?
You get your milk.
Here, see
I
that toy?
have no idea what you're talking about.
Really?
Go ahead and grab your milk.
Oh yeah, it was my favorite toy when I was a kid.
Good job. Yeah.
You said sit and spin, and my mind went to dark places.
It's like a little merry-go-round. And then you get this like steering wheel. You kind of like just sit cross-legged around it, and you can sit there all day, spin yourself.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
There you go, Mama. Bye.
Don't need a binder. Say bye. Don't need a binder. Thank you. Come on.
Go with Mama.
Good night night. Night.
Love you guys. What? I do this every week where I walk around wearing my headphones.
Yeah, I saw your cable like stretching.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Like it's pretty long, but I really I put it to the ultimate test.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you are coming up on this temple. Oh, that's a sit and spin.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious. As you're coming up on the temple, Ragnar, you with a
The natural 2.
with a
Plus
12
10.
you sense there is some type of unrest going on. Even a couple minutes out, you can feel people the kind of flow of traffic is largely moving away from the temple, with just a select few creatures, people moving towards the temple. And as you walk up, you can tell that it is the epicenter of something, some type of occurrence has happened. There are several people in the doorway to the temple, talking in very hushed tones. A few people are grouped up in several groups around the temple, just kind of talking amongst each other. None of them look particularly happy. Um, and that's all you can kind of glean with a 12. And at that point, we are going to switch back over to Yoshimi down at the docks. So we have just left the guy who is running some goods up the river today, and you'll finish your sandwich and you'll start to go to your daily place where you would be working. Today's job is putting paneling up on a dock, so you're kind of measuring and cutting wood planks and making sure that they're affixed properly.
Mhm.
Maybe half an hour goes by and you still do not see the Portsmouth. You haven't seen many people that you would normally see on a typical day. Um, you're just you're there by yourself. A few other people have trickled in to do their jobs respectively, but the people that you would need to talk to get a new job or something like that have not shown up yet.
Okay. How much work left do I have on this?
You were starting fresh on this piece of dock, so if you've been working straight for about half an hour, make an athletics check.
Athletics. Okay. 14.
With the 14, we'll say that you've properly measured and cut maybe 3 or 4 planks to the right size. It is pretty labor intensive to do so. There obviously are no power tools, so you're measuring by hand and cutting by hand. So you've done 4 usable planks, maybe one that just was warped in the middle, and you got halfway through and you realized that the wood wasn't good. So you could have had 5.5, but you're right around 4. You haven't said anything yet because you cut everything first and then you set everything afterwards. So it doesn't look like. Hold on 1 second. I have to go close a curtain in my son's room. I will be right back.
Like Yoshimi's about to just walk away from this job.
Just be like,
No guarantee that he's
"Bleh."
gonna get paid.
Get paid. Yeah.
It's like something that is happening elsewhere in the city.
Well, yeah, you figure your people haven't showed up yet, right? When they typically would be there.
Hmm.
Maybe they're stuck elsewhere. Maybe they're at the cap or not the Capitol. Maybe they're at the municipal building asking for a raise or something. I don't know.
Yeah. This is so different because I feel like it was literally just like a crane had Yoshimi by like her cloth on the back of her, shoulders, and just like dropped her in this city. Like, where am I?
What is this?
Just
I I was telling Billy before you got on. I'm actually happy that it worked out that it's the two of you just tonight, because we can like integrate you guys into the world a little bit before
yeah.
we have our one-on-ones,
The
so
last
it
time
doesn't
I
seem
felt
as
like
jarring.
the last time I felt like such a fresh slate was beginning of Lost Mines
Oh yeah.
when Grim was just like asking me to pick flowers or some
Yeah, that was the three of us. Yeah. I mean, I guess I was returning to that game, but with a new character, it's always cool to just be like, I don't know who I am yet, so I'm just gonna play this out and see what's going on. Very cool.
So yeah, I think Yoshimi might just be walking away from this labor here without any guarantee of pay, and
Okay.
kind of follow, knowing that there's an absence of traffic and people working near the docks, which are normally heavily populated and bustling. Where would it seem like, is there a commotion somewhere in the city that I can follow?
Pulling
What's the what's the cause of this
pulling
absence?
directly from the other storyline.
Not at all.
Ma- I would say make a. I feel like I'm going to overuse survival tonight, and I don't want to do that. Make a.
Make streetwise check.
I I will
Oh,
give
green
you
parts are +3.
either investigation, survival, or perception. You can choose between the three of those. And when you make your choice, I want you to tell me why that skill is causing you to leave your work in the like 30 minutes into your workday. What happens to make you get up and leave? Because
So,
I'm a fan of this action. I just need to know why you're doing it.
how long ago did I eat that fish sandwich?
Oh, no.
Oh, Jesus. About half an hour ago. Yeah. We'll say 30, 35 minutes.
Well, she's starting to. Ugh.
Who hasn't eaten a bad fish sandwich? I mean, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, she's gonna leave to go go number 2 somewhere.
Eric, is that you?
Yeah.
Pulls off the Yoshimi mask. It's just Eric in disguise.
So
Ha
so if I use a survival check, can I see where would be the safest place to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Roll survival.
perception. I'm sorry, perception. They're both the same modifier, so.
Okay.
7. Sorry, I rolled a 1.
with a 7, you obviously the nearest place that you could go without any interruptions would be the communal toilet in the barracks. You've had success there before. With a 7, you go there first. You're just taking your time because it's a couple steps away. It's very close. It is out of order. The next nearest clean bathroom without having to just like go in the woods would be right up in the edge of town, about 10 minutes away. So you can make that choice if you would like, or you can find a tree or a bush to hide behind.
Just jump in an alley.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Yoshimi might do the outside the barracks if there is a private alley.
Yeah. So around the docks, it's not very urbanized out there, so it's not really like alleyways and streets and things like that. There is kind of like a small alcove that you can see back there, kind of tucked away, some bushes behind the barracks. So yeah, you can definitely try and go out there. As you are preparing to go, with a 7, somebody else had the same idea, and they don't see you at first, and they just walk back there, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and they'll hold their hands above their or in front of their eyes and kind of like spin around and trip, and you see them hit their head on a rock on the ground.
Oh,
Oh no. Um. Yeah, just pull my pants up. Let's go help him out.
Yeah. Make a medicine check.
Okay.
I never know with your characters, Brad. I'm like, which way is this gonna go?
I know.
Like, I don't know what your alignment is. We're
Always a
gonna figure out real fast.
last minute decision.
Yeah.
So my check is 17 for medicine.
Okay. Did you end up going to the bathroom?
I mean, I think it would have just been pretty
I'll
quick.
let you choose.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was able
All right.
to relieve myself.
Okay. Yeah. So with a 17, you can very quickly identify that there is a head wound here. There's a lot of blood. And looking at the wound, maybe you clean it off with a little bit of water or something to get a better visual. It does look pretty deep. It doesn't look like severe, like brain damage or, a big battle wound like you've seen before. But for a civilian, it does seem not very good.
Okay, are they conscious? Tap them on the shoulder.
They're
Hello,
going in
hello,
and out.
hello.
They're kind of just like, oh, it
not-
hurts.
They're kind of responsive. Okay.
Yes.
Besides the head wound, would I be able to assess if there's any back, spine issues?
With a 17, I think that you could tell that there's nothing else around that could have really done that. It wasn't a huge fall, like a really high fall. It seems like most of the damage was done by the rock that was on the ground. There are a couple other scrapes just from falling on the ground, external abrasions, but nothing too terrible. Just the wound on the head.
Okay. I think I would do my best to dress the wound.
Okay.
I don't really have anything in my inventory, but clean is part of my clothes.
Okay.
If we're near enough to the water, use the fresh water, clean up the blood.
Okay.
I would not
roll
move, I would
roll
not
me roll me a percentile die with advantage.
Okay.
Since you're using clean water.
and I would not move the body either. I would be running to coming back. Uh, 32.
32. Okay. And that's with advantage. You rolled under a 32?
I will do advantage. 70.
Nice. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, the clean water really helps out. You can tell that the blood is starting to coagulate a little bit. You're starting to clean it up, make sure that the infection doesn't begin. You definitely prevent that. And he seems to be doing a little bit better. He's definitely still woozy, but you helped him out and you gave him a nice clean bandage around his head.
Okay. And then is there anything else at the barracks and docks, for further help, maybe some medicine?
Yeah, we'll say you have basic medicine, pain killing salves. You would definitely have access to some clean supplies as well. So you could probably find a pack, with a tourniquet, some clean bandages, some clean dressings of different lengths.
Oh.
You could muster up the supplies to wrap his head once you get the initial wound taken care of.
So I didn't need to do the clothes at all. Okay.
I mean, there was
could've-
probably was good that you did that right away before you ran away, leaving a profusely bleeding person on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
You took the correct action.
Okay. Let's ask them for their name. See it, get their responsive.
So this is a kind of like a half human, half dwarf. He'll just mutter under his breath. He's still kind of getting his bearings. And he'll say, "My name is Dodrin."
Well, Dodrin, it looks like we had the same idea of sneaking around this bush here. I'd say it's all
It looks like it. I am so sorry.
it's vacant now. You feeling better?
And he'll say, I don't need to go anymore. And if you look down,
Oh.
he will have peed his pants upon hitting the the rock and losing control of his faculties.
And the gaze would lower. Oh. You're just gonna wash yourself in the river. Also,
Please, can you help me get back to town? I'm so embarrassed. I need to get a new change of clothes.
man, yeah, you're lucky you met me. Let's go.
Both simultaneously lucky and unlucky because he busted his head open because he saw you, but then you also saved his life.
It's like the superhero dilemma. Like, we're happy superheroes exist because they fight the villains, but like, would the villains even have emerged if the
Yeah, yeah.
superheroes didn't exist?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in DM is getting Yoshimi to the town mode right now.
Yeah.
My way
He'll,
would have been like go find a bathhouse of how I smell.
oh yeah. Well, you can explore that avenue once you get up into the city.
Yeah, like every 5 minutes, just check how I smell.
Perfect. Yeah, Dodrin will kind of ease himself up and kind of put his arm around your shoulder. You can definitely tell he's still woozy, definitely dizzy, and needs your help to move.
Okay, I'll give him some.
Make
support as we go.
survival check or athletics, your choice.
Okay. I would do survival.
Okay.
10.
Yeah, with a 10, it takes you guys quite a bit to get up to the city. He needs a lot of support. So it takes you about a half an hour to get from down by the water up to the heart of the city. He kind of gives you directions to his home, and you walk him right up to his front door, and he'll thank you profusely, and he'll give you 3 gold for helping him. That's all he had in his pocket, but he will give you some monetary compensation. And again, he'll apologize over and over and over again for walking in on you. He just wasn't paying attention. You see him exit into his home, and you are left on a busy-ish street. At this point, you're, it's like 8:30, 8:45 in the morning, and the town is really starting to wake up, and businesses are starting to open. People are walking around you, and you're here in town. And we're gonna switch back to Ragna now. Ragna, you are standing outside of the temple of Ilmater, and people are not looking very happy. What are you doing?
So this is outside of the temple.
Yeah.
And
You're about 15, 20 feet away from the front entrance.
the people that are unhappy, are they general populace or clergymen or
Make a perception check.
hey, it's better.
With a 16, you would see a few people in clergy outfits. Nobody in, strict like priest or cardinal attire. So your best guess would be that there are some low-level people that work for the temple that are outside, but nobody that is an active leader of worship. The rest of the people you would assume would be people that are living in the area, or people that know the people they're talking to.
I guess as I approach, or as Ragnar approaches, she'll try and catch the tail end of maybe if they're talking or if they're arguing or pleading.
Okay. I'll let
Trying
you
to
use the same perception for that, unless you want to roll again. Your call.
yeah, we'll just keep the same.
Okay. With a 16, as you're walking up, you would hear the tail end of a conversation. It's a group of people that are starting to kind of disperse and go about their morning, but you'd hear several mentions of the name Strode. And Strode, if you are taking notes or writing this down, Stroad, Strode.
Okay.
They were referring to him as Mr. Strode. And you can, they're whispering, so you can overhear them talking about some type of accident.
Got it. Okay, so yeah, Ragnar would approach the, I guess did everybody disperse, or was it like, the civilians disperse?
Just one little cluster. People are starting to note. I mean, you clearly look like you are from a different place. So people are starting to notice that you are walking up the closer you get. So they're quieting down and just kind of either moving off to the side or kind of going back inside or moving down further away from the temple so you don't hear them. But from what you can hear, it kind of echoes the same sentiments as that first group that didn't quite notice you fast enough to stop talking.
Yeah. I think as a note too, I guess for the everybody's brain palace, this Ragna always travels, which was similar in the Orbs one shot. At this point, she has for some time been traveling with a mask on, and to keep up pretty much any distinguishing facial features covered up. And to kind of the way that I imagine it, anyways, is that once you get to a certain point of notoriety within the temple, it's both a sign of like station, but it also is kind of for anonymity, or what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, to remain anonymous, right? So it's like, hey, this person's important, but it's like, okay, is it this person or this person or this person? Or you don't know, right? It's just like,
Right.
hey, there's these oracles and they look like this. Um, so yeah, as Ragna would approach the temple, I'm assuming it's a closed doors situation.
The doors to the front entrance are closed, yes. Nobody is standing directly in front of the doors. It still technically is open to the public. So nobody is purposefully like barricading the doors or preventing people from going through, but they are closed.
Okay. So yeah, Ragna would approach a little bit off to the side of the main door and then reach down, pull out some powdered silver, kind of go through a couple of like quick motions, like she does this all the time, sort of thing. Powdered silver, holy water, makes a paste, puts a bit of dye into it, And then she'll go ahead and take off her mask, which to nobody, because nobody's looking at her, because there's nobody in front of this door. She actually has a tattoo on her forehead of a moon. And she's going to kind of take that paste and then kind of do a couple quick little stars on her cheek, or well, actually just one. She'll do one star on her left side of her cheek, and she'll kind of keep her head down like she's in a prayer, and she's essentially just kind of paying her respects before she steps into another temple, another deity's temple.
Yes.
And she'll kind of sit there for about 20 seconds. And, she's not speaking, in this instance, she's not speaking out loud. She's more just kind of, through her mental faculties, just kind of extending her presence, kind of taking in the surroundings, and hoping that everything's going okay, because it does not seem to be the case. But anyways, yeah, she'll do that. She'll wipe her hands off and put her mask back on, and then if there is a knocker, she will use a knocker. If there's no knocker, she will knock.
There is no official knocker on the door.
Yeah.
Upon knocking, the door will open. There's a very kindly look. She's smiling, short, heavier set, elven woman who is right behind the door in religious garb, whites and silvers and like lavenders, light purples. And she'll open the door and she'll say, yes, can I help you?
Yes, hold on. Choking on my own spit.
Yeah. Lubricate for a second before we get into the big monologues here.
Yeah. Yes. This is the temple to Ilmater in town, correct?
Yes. Are you a follower of Ilmater?
I am not, but I am a woman of faith to a different divinity, Selene.
Her smile will only broaden when you say the name Selune. And she'll say, I have a sister that's a devout follower of Selune. What a wonderful world this is. Serendipitous, they would say.
I agree.
Would you like to come in?
Yes, if that would be very, very generous if you let me in.
And she'll say, please step on in. It's kind of a strange morning for us. There was a bit of a situation that happened earlier, but we're always open for paying respects to Ilmater.
I don't mean to pry, but is everything okay? I can come back another time.
No. I can show you to the main chamber of worship if you'd like. I assume that's where you'd like to go?
Yeah. I would like that.
Make a perception check, Ragna.
Come on, don't roll balls. She's got a knife behind her, doesn't she? Fuck!
Jesus. Man,
if it's any, not that it matters, but my passive perception is a 20.
I'll give you passive perception for this. This is not
Oh,
a.
oh,
I'll
too
give you passive
merciful.
for this.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a really noticeable thing. So as you are walking, you're following her through this temple. It seems to feel much larger inside than it looks from the outside. And you can tell that maybe the gradient of the floor is going a bit downwards. So you could imagine part of it is underground, and that is how they are doing this. But it definitely feels like you're walking for far longer than you could have based on the outside of the temple. And as you are walking, you can tell about halfway to where you're going, she makes a very intentional swap from your left to your right. And she does this right before a set of double doors on your right hand side. And this is maybe 20 feet away from where you end up, which is the main worship chamber. And you can tell her demeanor changes once you get to this hallway. She is very she's not forthright about it. She stops talking because you're making small talk as you go. She becomes silent. Again, like I said, very intentionally moves to the right of you as to prevent you from looking through those doors as you go past them to the chamber of worship. And you'll get to the main sanctuary. It's a very modest sanctuary. A couple rows of seating on either side. It's built like a dome, so it's a circular room with a domed ceiling, beautifully decorated. Again, like she is dressed, a lot of whites, a lot of silvers, golds, and purples throughout the room, and a small figurine, a statuette of Ilmater at the very center of the room.
Right. So as they kind of walk into this this area, after they initially step through, is there anybody else in the room or in the area of worship, or is it currently empty?
We'll say there are two other people already inside of the sanctuary. They are actively in prayer, so they don't even notice that you come in. They'll be off to your left, seated with their heads down, heads both bowed. You can't tell what type of species they are, but they appear humanoid. One of them is kind of chanting for both of them, you'd assume, under their breath.
Ragna is going to look back towards her guide, which I did not get the name of.
I don't think. Did you ask for it?
I did not.
She definitely would have. We'll say that. We'll say that she would have just given it to you. Her name is Arzana. Arzana. Arzana.
I want to write that down. Come on, D&D Beyond. Arzana. Okay. Whenever she shifted sides when we were walking here, was that obviously it was something that was noticed. Was that like a few minutes ago? Was that like 10 seconds ago?
It was very recent. It was about 20 feet away from the doorway to the sanctuary.
And she pretty much was like, she was walking on the left, and then 20 feet before she went to this side and was kind of blocking.
Yep. We'll say that she, just to make it less obvious, she'll kind of dip behind you and come back up around your right side.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
it's 100% noticeable.
So, yeah, as they enter the chamber, Ragna's going to look back towards Arzana. And she is going to telepathically speak into Arzana's mind
Okay.
because she has that as a language because it was taken. And she's going to kind of meet her eyes and then kind of flick off to the left, like where she kind of did the swap and in the previous hall. But Ragna is just going to say to her, if you're safe, blink 3 times. If
Ooh.
you are not, blink 5.
She will say back to you. Are you using a spell that would allow a person to speak back to you?
Let
Or
me
are you
pull it
just
up because
speaking telepathically?
it is through a feat. I will pull it up because I've.
If it's the telepathic feat, I think that it uses verbiage from the spell, but it doesn't allow two-way communication.
You were able to speak telepathically to any creature as long as you share a language. You also learn to track thoughts. You awaken the ability to mentally connect with others. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, your communication doesn't give the creature the ability to respond to you telepathically, which was kind of the idea behind the blinking.
So she will smile at you and nod, and she will blink twice.
So just real quick. So I said blink 3 times if you're safe, blink 5 if you're not, and she blinks twice.
Oh, I didn't hear the second one. She'll blink 5 times. She'll blink 5 times.
Oh, so she is not safe.
No.
Oh,
Man, what a good call. Good call on that.
oh no. Shit. Then Ragna, non-telepathically, will say, "Thank you. If you wouldn't mind, would you mind joining me for a small prayer? I like to have somebody who's familiar with the deity and which temple I'm in. Whenever I visit, I try to take this time to bond and spend some time with somebody who's more familiar with them than I." And as she's saying that, she's kind of, I guess, she's gonna go kind of find a spot. How big is this room?
Say 35 feet in diameter.
Okay.
It's not a tiny room, but it's not massive like sanctuaries that you have seen before.
And after she says that, she'll kind of reach out her hand and kind of grab their shoulder and give a little squeeze.
Make a persuasion check.
Oh yeah, fucking charismatic as shit. I'm totally a safe person that's completely covered in black, lady.
Right. I'll even give you advantage because you are sporting a a symbol of a deity that she trusts.
Persuasion -2. Fuck yeah. Let's fucking go. All right, first roll. Holy fuck, natural 20.
That is wild.
Fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So with a nat 20, she is actually going to, she'll move her hand up to your hand, and she will squeeze so tight.
Yeah.
And you can tell that she is letting her guard down for just a second. With a natural 20 persuasion, you not only convince her to come over to worship with you, she will lead you over to a spot of her choosing. And she'll say under her breath when you get there, this very quietly, like whispering so close to your to your ear, or where she would assume your ear would be underneath your mask and your hood. This is where Mr. Strode usually comes to worship. He was here this morning, and I'm not sure he left.
Okay. I'm going to write that down.
And we are going to move back to Yoshimi. Yoshimi, you are in the middle of a bustling street. Being here for a week already, you would know that this is just outside of the marketplace district. The person that you helped home, who gave you some gold, seems to be in the upper middle class. So he is not wealthy, but he certainly is not living in squalor, especially because he had the means to just drop 3 gold on you after just meeting you, you know? So you are amid the market district, or the periphery of that. And from what you can tell, the traffic pattern, much like the river, just seems a bit off today. And I would like you to make a survival check, please.
Okay. Yeah, as part of her character, she accepts the gold, seeing that he's in a nice house.
It's totally fair.
So 22 survival.
The 22 survival, you can definitely tell that you know that the guild hall and the temple to Ilmater are both to your north. The docks and the river. So sorry. They are both to your south. The docks and the river, the port section, are to your north. They're like the northeast or northwest portion of the city. So you had to travel south into the city to get him home. If you travel further south, you can get to the guild hall and you can get to the temple. It seems like much more traffic is coming up from the south than normal for this time of day. It also seems like for this time of morning, you're right around 10 o'clock at this point. People are usually out getting their groceries, their food for the day, regular supplies, maintenance supplies, things like that. There's a lot less traffic in the market square and more traffic coming up from the south.
And I imagine the citizens don't just have bags like they're going to the market to buy. There's a weird.
You would be able to tell that maybe 50%. Every maybe 4 people for every 10 would have accoutrements for carrying food or wares home with them.
Yeah.
The other 6 would just be walking. And with that roll on survival, you could tell that maybe 2 for every 10 look to to have some type of heightened emotion that you can't tell exactly what that is.
Okay. And did the Portsmouth ever say where he would go into town? If he wasn't at the burial.
Make a history check.
Okay. It is an 11.
So the Portsmouth, who you have gotten to know relatively well, obviously he gave you a chance the first day you were there. He gave you a place to sleep in exchange for some labor. Um, you'd get on with some small talk here and there, and he would tell you that not only does he regularly go to the Temple of Ilmater every morning for a morning prayer, he would stop through the market on his way north to the docks. He lives pretty far south, so he'll just make the trip through the city straight up northwest to the dock every morning. You know his morning routine pretty well. He wakes up at the crack of dawn, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock, goes in, prays at the temple for maybe 15, 20 minutes, grabs breakfast in the market, and then walks up to the docks. You would be very familiar with the Portsmouth, uh, with his morning routine. You would also know that very few people know his first name, which is Ferdinand. You would know that. You would also know that his last name is Strode.
So I am gonna do the opposite of his route, make my way north to south instead. So I have not yet seen him in the market, and I'm at the market now.
Make a how are you looking around the market? I would like you to describe how you're looking around. Are you being obvious about it? Are you trying to like just scan for people? What are you doing?
No, I just looking into the specific restaurants or coffee shops, whatever. Although at 10 in the morning, he would have, been at work and had his food.
Oh yeah, he would have been at work by
So this is
7
later.
at least. Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna move past the market,
Okay.
towards the temple.
Okay.
Yeah, just walking towards the temple, going south. Um, he doesn't visit the guild hall, right? That wasn't mentioned in the routine.
No.
Okay.
You would know that he lives close to the guild hall,
Hmm.
but he doesn't necessarily go there as a permanent routine fixture. No.
Okay. Temple it is.
Uh,
Yeah.
What's your passive perception, Yoshimi?
Passive. 16.
Okay. With a 16, since you're just walking through the market, not looking closely at anything, you would not see him if you're looking specifically at the little cafe that he says that he goes to every morning. He would not be there either. He specifically mentions that he sits outside. They have a little, outdoor seating area that he likes to sit at for 5-10 minutes to decompress, ready to start his day. He is not sitting at that patio. So, at a glance, you do not see him in the market as you're traveling south.
Well, I don't know if we can retcon, but if I had known that like he had a specific cafe, um,
We can recount, yeah.
could I go to that cafe and ask whether he had shown up today?
Yeah. You enter the cafe. It is mildly busy. It's not a very large place, maybe 40 feet by 50 feet. Again, much like the temple, it's not a grand place, but it's not like a tiny hole in the wall. There are maybe 3 or 4 other people inside, but they don't seem to be bothered by you being there. They don't. Nobody looks up to see you enter. The only person that kind of acknowledges you is the young man behind the counter. And he'll say, "Good morning, sir." I'm so used to you playing Eric. Sorry. He'll say, "Good morning, madam. Could I get you a coffee? Maybe a croissant?"
I can't spend too much time. I was looking for a man who often visits here.
Oh, we have plenty of regulars. Could you be more specific?
Yeah, and then I would go through and describe Mr. Strode for Ferdinand.
Yeah. So as you are describing him, I guess I'll describe him to both of you. He is a man of incredibly tall stature. He stands about 6'4". He's very broad. You don't know exactly because you've never weighed him personally, but he appears to be very muscular. Probably within the range of 240 to 260 pounds. Not a piece of fat on his body. He's just a really stacked guy. Uh, Older gentleman, middle age older gentleman, maybe mid 50s. Graying hair. He has short hair, but it's black turning to gray, and he has a big bold mustache and beard. Also salt and pepper. Mustache and beard combo. He always wears very finely pressed shirts and work pants, so he's always in the attire of a dockhand. You would know Yoshimi, he believes in leading by example, so he very clearly has lived a life of labor and worked his way up to the Portsmouth position. So he has a lot of respect for his workers. He's very well liked in the community. And right as you start describing him, the man behind the counter would say, "Oh, yes, Mr. Strode. Of course, he was here this morning."
So I know that he normally leaves the market and heads up toward the docks. Did you happen to see his direction of travel?
Oh, we were pretty busy this morning too. I I think sometimes the mornings blur together. I'm pretty sure he normally goes up to the north, but maybe he stopped to walk around the market a little bit after he left our store.
Okay, gotcha. Well, you've been great help. Sorry, I don't want to take actually much of your more of your time.
Of course, madam. Thanks for stopping in. I hope to see you soon. He'll kindly just give you a little wave.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I kind of just want to follow that lead then, but I don't know.
Yeah, where are you going?
So he said that he thinks he saw him go to the docks, or as he was busy, he didn't see exactly where.
He said they were a little bit busy, so he wasn't sure exactly which way he went. Normally he goes up north to the docks, but he thought maybe he walked around the marketplace after leaving on this particular morning.
Yeah. Let's stay in the market. Where else would a Portsmouth go? Um, any shops that stick out to Yoshimi as far as what would interest Ferdinand?
Make a perception check.
Okay. That's pretty good. So 25.
Yeah, with a 25, there is a tailor with a kind of a bust form in the window, with a women's blouse and a men's shirt. That you recognize the shirt. You're pretty sure that he has worn that shirt before. Um, there are also several vendors that sell fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. You've seen him roll into work um, with some fresh food before that he stores in a little mess kit, like a mess tin. So you would assume that he probably goes to one of those stands to buy fresh food every morning, or at least some mornings.
Okay, let's head over to the fruit stand.
Okay. Yeah, the fruit stand is run by a small gnome woman. She is kind of operating on a smaller table next to her cart. Um, she is shucking corn. She's husking corn.
Okay, so Yoshimi would bow to the gnome. She's shorter, so bowing would just be so courteous. And
Oh, yeah, she'll look up at you and smile.
how do you do? I'm actually on a little search for a regular, probably of yours, the Portsmouth, Mr. Strode,
Hmm,
Ferdinand Strode. Do you know?
of course.
Okay.
Old friends with Ferdinand. Yes.
Uh, Today I was looking for him. Trying to retrace his steps, and the cafe told me he was in the market this morning.
And she'll kind of stop and lean back for a second and ponder. You get the idea that a lot of these stands, a lot of these shops have different sets of regulars. Sometimes days can blur together a little bit. But she'll say, after thinking for a couple moments, you know what? I did see him this morning. He was starting to come this direction. He looked a little bit worried. I remember thinking I was going to ask him what was wrong, because sometimes he gets in those moods, he just gets into his head. But then he turned and he walked back the other direction.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your assistance. I'll use your information, but I don't want to take any more of your time.
Of course. Have a good day.
As you as well. Now does that mean I guess I'll head to the tailor next if she didn't specifically say he headed off in a certain direction.
Yeah, fast tracking that, the tailor will corroborate what the other two places said, filling in just that um, he saw Mr. Strode walk up to the door. Mr. Strode definitely isn't like a daily regular because he's not buying clothes every day. But he is an old friend of Mr. Strode, so sometimes he'll just come in to discuss town politics or whatever. Um, and he'll say, I saw him walking around outside in the marketplace. And he looked almost lost. He didn't look like himself. And I saw him walking back south towards his home.
Okay. Well, don't want to take any more of your time. Been great help.
Thanks.
I will leave the market. Not going north, but going south, following towards the guild hall slash home. I don't know his home directly. Like it's not like I have his address, so um, and I wish I knew where Bernard was. Maybe he's at the fish stand.
Bernard is in a boat heading north on the river.
Let's go to the guild hall.
Okay.
Is
Uh,
I
the
understand
guild
it's
hall,
closer to the guild hall than the temple.
it would be on the way. Yeah. So if you're kind of heading in that direction, you'd hit the guild hall first. Entering the guild hall, it is a Again, both of you will recognize a theme throughout all of these buildings. They are incredibly mediocre for what a general sense of any type of this specific building would be. So it's not incredibly small. It's not incredibly grand. It is a serviceable hall for members of any type of unionized position. So there are masons there. There are, like I said, miners from Isamel that have come over. You can see them kind of huddled at a table by themselves. There are several dock workers that you would recognize, maybe not be on first name basis with, but you have seen them before. And there are a couple stragglers here and there. They're just reading the town paper maybe, or just sipping on coffee by themselves, relaxing. So there are a couple different people that you could see right in your immediate view.
Okay. Let's head over to the dock workers that I only, acquaintance type recognize.
Okay. What's your passive investigation?
That's an 8.
What's your passive perception?
16.
Okay. So as you are walking up to the dock workers with your passive perception, you hear another group of people, 2 human women, a half orc man, and an elvish man, talking at a table next to the dock workers. You hear them talking about, you hear specifically the phrase, sleeping with Mr. Strode's wife. They're mostly whispers, but that phrase sticks out to you as you're walking over to the dock workers. And one of the dock workers will see you and kind of wave you over. But that's what you hear on your way.
Okay. Not None of these dock workers are just sort of at an adjacent, yeah, maybe dock to the one that I was specifically working on, and said,
Yeah.
"Well, I've come here and actually stopped the work that I began this morning, to seek out my boss, Mr. Strode."
One of the one of the other dock workers will kind of in jest say, "You mean our boss? He's all of our bosses."
I've only been working here a few days.
And another one will be, "Get off of her. She's fine. She's new."
So that brings me to this point. I've been looking for him because he isn't at the dock, and I'm just concerned I'm not going to get any pay. Did I come to the right place? Has he been here?
Immediately when you say that he's not down at the dock, all 3 of them will look at each other with mixed emotions. One of them is deeply concerned. The man that kind of defended you stepped in and defended you. He's concerned. The woman that said, "Oh yeah, he's the boss for all of us," obviously kind of joking at you. She will look very surprised, but not necessarily concerned. Just like she just got something real juicy. And the third one, he was kind of like face down in a bowl of like oatmeal or porridge or whatever, and he will just stop eating and drop his spoon into his bowl and look up at you. And at that point, we are going to switch back over to the Temple of Ilmater with Ragna and Arzana. She has just told you this is the spot where Mr. Strode comes to worship. I think he was here this morning, but I'm not sure he ever left.
All right, so I did write that down correctly. I'm sure he. Okay, and that was in hushed tones.
Yes. Yeah, so quiet.
Very quiet.
You get the idea that everything seems very nice, and everybody has like the other clergy members have been all smiles at you as you're walking down here. It may be nicer and more kind than it seems.
Yeah. It's a face.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, Ragna will kind of playing into where Arzana left or led her, will start kneeling, and she's going to begin to start pulling out a handful of incense, small vial of water, powdered silver, some ground up herbs, and lay out a mat and then put all that stuff on it, and then pull out a ritual book. And as she's prepping these things to begin a ritual, there was a couple other individuals that were in the room with them. Maybe there's two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to do a big old listen, and kind of try, once everything's out in front, take a moment and pause. And it looks like she just closes her eyes and is kind of thinking for a moment, but she's actually listening intently to see if there's any other noises that she can hear, specifically if she hears more than those two people and Arzana in this room.
Okay. Make a you are channeling like divine ritualistic
Yeah,
means to do this?
this was more as she's preparing to perform a ritual. She was going to, she's basically setting up to do a ritual. Hasn't quite started.
Just making sure that she doesn't hear. Okay. Make a under the protection of Selune and Ilmater together. Make an investigation check at advantage.
Okay. What's my investigation? -1. Nice. Damn, those are some pretty decent rolls. So a 15.
15 is not bad. With a 15, obviously you can hear the person across the room from you still chanting. If you're quieting down, Arzana is quiet as well. The two of you are kind of just trying to cancel as much white noise out as possible and focusing really in on the human voice. You can hear the person to your left. You can also very faintly, if you are stopping everything and just letting sound come into your ears, a man's voice in the room behind you. So think of the long hallway to get here. The hallway that you walk down. It's a straight hallway, and at the end of the hallway is the door to the sanctuary. And then you go in, and the statue of Ilmater is at the far end of that room. So you're still facing the same way as the hallway. You can hear a man's voice very subtly back to your right, behind you to the right. You would also know, I won't even make you roll for this, that is the direction of the door that Arzana tried to prevent you from going into.
Got it. That makes sense. All right. So Ragna would open her eyes and she'll look back towards Rosana and say, when I visit other temples, I've made it a habit of performing a ceremony of sorts to sanctify water, bless it, imbue it inside of the temples where the spirit of that faith and the essence of those domains are strongest. I will be performing a quick 10, 12-minute ritual. In D&D terms, it's a ritual.
Yeah, that's totally
Cast.
fine.
To do this. And sorry, I was thinking about other things. We will go ahead. Yeah, no, a big surprise. I was thinking about doing other things first, but yeah, Ragna will go into her ritual and she'll take a couple other things out of her person, off of her person, out of pouches and stuff, that if Arzana has a trained eye, she would probably see, like, I don't know why that's out there, but it's there. She'll take out a small clay ziggurat and a couple other small components, which she kind of has out, but then kind of puts off to the side. And she's manipulating all this other stuff, right? And in a very long and drawn out way, as a ritual, Ragna will be performing ceremony, and she will be blessing a vial of water. And
I love that. So I love the spell ceremony, and it is so underused. It's such a cool spell.
And the idea
Good choice.
that I decided 4 seconds prior to saying it, the idea is that, you know, when you visit other temples, right? You know, you have, in theory, you have like the spirit of that domain or that energy is kind of like just like white noise, I guess, or it's like ever present. Like it's stronger in these temples, right? For whether it's, you know, theory or faith or, you know, divine power being influence certain areas. That's just what Ragna believes. So that's why she's going through the motions and is really trying to double down on. And while she's doing this, she's thinking about the main thing that's been brought up about El Mater, which is the whole community thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's thinking about, you know, that selfless, you know, help your neighbor, you know, help somebody in need. You know, like that whole idea of community and you know, coming together and really just being good to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she started to piece together the concern, the safety, the man's voice in the other room, uh, kind of keeping that in the back of her mind, but going through the whole process with the ritual.
Okay. Yeah, you make it through the whole 10 minutes. You bless the water. You get the sense as you're doing it. Arzana knows exactly what you're doing. She has been a part of the faith, uh, likely most of her life.
Mm.
She is an elf, so she is quite old at this point. She doesn't seem too nimble anymore. So
Mm.
she's likely at least a century old, if not more.
Mm.
Um, and she catches on to what you're doing, and she'll stay silent through the whole thing. She doesn't raise any alarms. She just watches you work. And when you're done, she gives you like a little half smile, almost to say, um, she's just expressing her trust in you because she sees that you know what you're doing. She has faith in your divinity.
Mm. The if you don't know, that's completely fine too. But the Ilmater itself, the statue, that's in this room, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Just because I'm not familiar with it, what does
Mm-hmm.
the representation like visually look like? Is like I guess what
Uh,
is the iconography of that or the statue? Like what is the representation?
sure. So it shows a man, Ilmater, clothed in rags, and he is kind of half on one knee, half standing up. So he's just kind of like bent over. His hands are bound in front of him like this,
Hmm.
and he's looking up to the sky with his head.
Hmm.
And you can tell looking at it, his hands are bound uh, in thorns, so they're not like manacles or rope or something more humane. It's actively hurting him to be bound
Hmm.
this way. You know from your background that Ilmater is the god of suffering. So his entire conceit is that he finds people, followers of him, uh, that are enduring great pain, and he takes that pain upon himself in their stead. And he does this for as many followers as he can, uh, for as many followers as he can bear at one time. So he is in a constant state of physical and mental uh, pain or anguish because he's taking that off of the people that believe in him. So it is, you can tell whoever sculpted this had a very good idea of maybe they have experienced pain themselves, physical pain,
Hmm.
but it is a very visceral representation of that kind of dogma.
How big is this statue? Out of curiosity, is it like a big?
It's not life size, maybe half scale. It's up on a miniature pedestal, so maybe it stands almost as tall as Ragna.
Hmm.
But the pedestal maybe is about a foot and a half, 2 feet high, and the actual statue of Ilmater, he's crouched down, but maybe stands about 3.5, 4 feet high. So probably about 5.5 feet total for the statue, including the pedestal.
Hmm. Huh. I think Ragnar would know, like general uh, temple etiquette. So like, I don't think she has intent on like touching the statue or manipulating it or um, anything like that. But
Mhm.
would it be out of place to get close to it and then kind of look like eye to eye with the statue?
No, I mean, it's not behind any encasement. It is uh, open on the floor. You can go right up to it if you'd like.
Okay. Little did you know, Brad, that we're just gonna RP praying for 4 hours.
What was the ceremony I missed because I had to put my dog out in my room?
It was pretty much Ragna was performing a ceremony to the D&D mechanics is to create holy water, but essentially when she goes to different temples or different deities or places of worship, she basically performs these ceremonies as kind of like a to honor the spirit of that entity or divinity. And she has a little. She had a trench coat. She would open it up, and there'd be like lined with all these different holy water vials from different temples. Uh,
Like labeled
and,
with a label maker.
and little did you know, that Grim actually really seeped into Ragna, and she's peddling this holy water from all these temples.
Oh,
That's not
They rubbed
happening.
off on each other.
Yeah. um, yeah. So Ragna is going to kind of approach. She's going to approach the statue Tilmater. And really kind of take in uh, the representation of pain. And then this is probably as when you were describing it, like she probably notices that whoever made this had a very good understanding on, what the representation of that is and how it feels and how it looks and how deep of an effect that pain can have on an individual and
Hmm.
the desire to want to get rid of it. Um, she kind of ponders about that for a while because, for Ragna, a lot of very traumatizing and painful things has kind of helped create the person that she is, and that I'm sure there's a lot of other people that go through the same stuff, right? Or at least they go through things that shape them and mold them. And kind of thinking about that and kind of meets eyes with the statue and she'll speak out loud, like not like loudly, but not hiding her voice. Does it? And obviously, she's not looking for an answer. Sweet statue. Does it ever become too much? Uh, do you have times when you think is going to overflow. I hope that you have someone or something. Maybe it's your followers. Something to keep pushing on. And then she's going to start making a few motions. And then she's going to say the words to stay vigilant and omniscient. And as she says vigilant, she's going to do a quick gesture in the air of, what it'll look like. It'll just be a quick little blue line that just goes like that. And she's going to cast a vigilant blessing on herself. Just kind of
Okay.
trying to subtly have a conversation, but is still kind of wary of whatever the fuck is going on behind her in that other room. And clearly this is the woman that was like in heavy distress and is scared for her life. And feels like she's in danger.
Right. Roll a d100 at advantage.
Oh, I fucking love rolling D100s on Roll20. It's like my favorite. Fucking 83, 23.
And what level are you? 15?
Yeah, 15.
Oh, just
Of
missed
course.
it.
Yeah.
Just missed
That's-
it. Two away from 85. You will get the sense after speaking to this statue
Mhm.
that you've been an oracle for Selune for quite some time. You have sensed her presence. You understand that she as an entity is very real, or at least very real for you. You may or may not have noticed that sense with other deities. You're not entirely sure, but in this moment, as you are actively both encapsulating what Ilmater stands for himself, and what this temple stands for, at least in theory, in method, you feel like you just got so close to a divine occurrence. You feel the presence of an otherworldly being with you in the room, and that it so very nearly manifested in a conversation. You can feel that you were so close to being able to commune with some higher purpose. And as you feel this, you're filled with a warmth. It's starting in your hands as you cast your blessing on yourself, moving up your arms into your body, down your trunk into your legs, and up to the top of your head. You feel this overwhelming sense of warmth and purpose. And you look around the room, and it's almost like everything has a silvery sheen on it, just for a few moments. And if you look backwards towards the doorway, the doorway is outlined in a silvery, a mystical presence, and it pulses just a few times before subsiding. And you can see just outside the doorway, about 20 feet down the hall. The door now to your left was to your right on your way in. Now to your left is pulsing in that same
Baby
Door's
time.
pulsing. Yeah.
You gotta get that door while it's pulsing.
Yeah.
Right, so. Yep, you can stay in here with me. You can stay in here with me. Also pulsing as well with that same essence.
That's awesome. I did not expect that. I think
You
Ragnar-
rolled crazy close to,
I know.
to a divine
That's like-
intervention.
Yeah. For a brief moment there, I was like, after you mentioned that, I was like, shit, is there some other way I can extend that power? And I was like, nah, Barlos is like already halfway through describing this, so I'm just gonna ride it. Is there something like how can I squeak out like 2%?
Right.
Yeah. How can I squeak this out?
I felt like I was already very generous with the advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Very cool. I think after realizing that, Ragnar's kind of trailing and has that sensation and starts looking around and then is following the threads. And is there a like an offering dish, like a communal dish, I guess?
Yeah, there's like a tithing box
Tithing,
towards
yeah.
the front of the room. So like, or I mean, I guess towards the back of the room, by the doorway, by the entrance.
Yeah. Okay. She will. So there's a tithing box, and sorry, I'm just trying to get this because I had something funny I wanted to do too. I wanted to donate to through a tithing box, or actual coin. I think she would. She would probably. Grab a handful of silver pieces. Let's say 7. She'll grab 7 and kind of
Okay.
palm them and then put them into the box. And if there was another spot where you could like place items or like religious symbols or anything like that.
Yeah. I'd
she
say
will
the tithing box itself is pretty small, we'll say, but it is. It seems like there is another section maybe next to it for more physical offerings. So
Yeah.
like containers of preserved food or clothing or things like that. There might be a larger basket that is not meant for monetary donations.
Okay, perfect. So she will go over to that area as well, and she pulls out a small. It would probably be chalks, like very kind of like a very. She pulls out like a small set of like different colored chalks, and they're actually kind of like fine pointed. Imagine like a bigger like colored pencil, I guess, something that she can kind of draw with. But it's fancy chalk. It's like arcane chalk where it like never rubs off unless you do some crazy stuff to it, right? And so she has these chalks, and she's going to reach into her bag. She's going to pull out a ball bearing, and she's going to start inscribing on this ball bearing. She's going to draw an eye, and then she's going to draw a moon over it. And then she's going to take that ball bearing, she's going to put it in the little dish.
That's amazing. Perfect.
And without any further delay, Ragnar will walk over to Arzana. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing me here. I think I have something that I need to do.
She will. She will insight check you.
Not intentionally being deceitful.
She just wants to kind of glean what you mean by
Yeah.
that. I don't think that she knows you're being deceitful,
Yeah.
but she rolled a 17.
Nice.
Would she have any idea of what you are trying to do?
I would say probably. I would imagine that, like, because you got to figure this woman had been kind of led here, or led Ragna here. Then Ragna was like, "Hey, we're cool," in a very
Yeah.
to sum it up, and then like went over, communed with this statue, or intentionally made some type of connection, whether she could see it or not. And then what I'm getting at is she's probably been watching Ragnar this whole time for the most part, right? She's like, gone here, went to the statue, but then from there, she was kind of like trailing, Ragnar was trailing, looked into the hall, looked at the door that was out in the hall, right? Um, Made an offering and said, "Hey, I got to do something,
Right. Right. Yeah.
or I have to.
Fair.
I have some place I need to go." And Ragnar will smile, like a gentle smile, which I just realized she can't see. So as she says that, Ragnar will take off her mask and show her face, which is, since nobody remembers, Ragnar is pretty young, like late 20s
Mhm.
at this point, probably. Very soft, very feminine features, outside of the giant tattooed moon on her forehead and some some powdered silver kind of ink on her face. She will smile as she says that.
And Arzana will. She takes comfort in that. She'll smile back at you.
And I think Ragnar would in this moment, being in the church or the temple, she will take her mask and kind of hang it on a little loop off to her side. And then she will proceed towards the door, uncovered.
All right, we're going to head back to Yoshimi now. So you are at the guild hall. You have now encountered some information about Mr. Strode's wife, or somebody sleeping with Mr. Strode's wife. You have also noted some clear emotional reaction to you searching for him and him being missing from the docks. The other dock workers seem pretty disinterested in you at this point. Two of them will get up and leave to go to the docks, leaving just the
Man and
woman that defended you.
Oh, just the woman
Yeah.
that was in shock.
Yeah.
Well, the woman was initially the one who was like,
Or
"Hey,
the
all of
yeah,
our
the man who was kind of stepped, yeah.
he stepped
Yeah.
in my defense." So at this kind of realization that there's a surprise, so in this brief moment, you'll see Yoshimi's she'd been like investigating, trying to find where Strode is. And then just the mention of his name, right? That he's not at the docks. They're surprised. The woman
Mhm.
drops her bowl of food or something on the table and just stops.
Yeah, the other guy just drops his spoon into his bowl and looks up at you.
I would look at the guy defending me. You know something.
She'll look at you and immediately lower her tone or lower his tone, and he'll say, "I don't want this getting spread around. There was just a rumor around the docks a couple weeks ago that there was some infidelity going around. I didn't think anything of it because Mr. Strode is such an upstanding guy. But it came out a couple days after that it may not be him, that it might have been his wife."
That's what it is. Okay, I can understand your surprise. Yeah, I mean, I've known him for a short time. He was all right. Didn't seem like it can't be him, right?
That's what we thought.
But he's smart enough to sniff that out in his wife, or to sense it. She can't get it past him. Like, he's smart enough to catch in the act. So what do you
I'll
know?
say,
I'm looking for him.
I fear if he didn't show up for work today, he may have gone after whoever the other person is. Word on the street is they're somebody pretty wealthy, well connected.
You mean go after? You saying he would resort to fighting? And
I don't know. I know that he was once part of a military. He worked out of the Hall of Two Beginnings up in the north. Worked as a militiaman up there. Worked several security-based jobs before he settled here as Portsmouth. But he's always said that he wouldn't resort to violence. He's never been a violent person as far as I've known him. But I know that he has used violence before.
yeah, no,
When he's had to.
Those types of men, they never leave that behind them. So sounds like there may be a chance that things could get out of hand. I'm still looking for him. You got any idea where this guy is? Just that he's chasing,
He'll
the
look around, and even quieter than before, he'll lean all the way in, and he'll say, "I can't confirm this, but if I had to guess, it would be one of the priests from the Temple of Ilmater."
the temple.
The temple.
Okay. That probably explain why he went south after the market.
At the mention of that, he'll look like something just clicked, and he'll say, "He went back south on his way to work?"
Yep. Completely opposite of the docks.
The only places he could go that were south, I'm sure there are plenty of places he could go, but the only place that he would go would be back home or back to the temple. I'm just a dock worker. I don't have any experience with altercations. I just cut wood all day. You seem much more formidable. Could you go to the temple and check on him, please?
And I would assure assure the dock worker. If you give me one piece of information,
Of
in
course.
the chance that he's not at the temple, where is his home? I'd check in on it.
It's a few blocks over from here. It's very close. If you take the same street down, hang a right, you should be. It not should be. It is a pretty large green house on the left-hand side of the street.
Okay, and I'd probably thank him actually for um not all our altercations are physical, but you kind of came to my defense against the woman you were with. So forms of aid and defense and altercation look different. So you're well on your way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Please go look after Mr. Strode. He's the best boss I've ever had.
This guy's
Hey.
so sensitive.
I'm just like throughout all this conversation that Yushimi has had with all these people, like these are like just fucking just like run of the mill, like just normal ass people, and then nobody knows Yushimi is like this like super skilled archer or swordsman or whatever she does. Like fucking one of the strongest people in the town, probably.
Yeah,
Just like
level
No,
15
yeah, no doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt.
class.
just like, man, but he's a really good boss. Can you go help him out? Like, it's great. It's good. It's good. Hey, you got a good boss, man. You gotta be good to the good boss.
This is very much like Solo Jin's journey in Ghost of Tsushima. Like there'd just be like little town folk and they're just like looking for help from a samurai.
Yeah.
It's great. Going into today, I was talking to Billy before the session, or before you got in. It's like I didn't prep this at all. Like I had you roll a d8 for where the city even was in the continent, and I was like, "What do we do really well in the main campaign?" And I was like, "It's like the stakes are so high. Like it's such a high stake campaign. The scope is so huge." I was like, "I just want this to be one town with one little problem."
Yep.
And
Oh,
that's all we're gonna do.
Infidelity. That's all we're doing, baby.
Yeah.
And we ain't even gonna make it there.
Nope. Probably not.
Hey, we're almost there though.
okay.
Yeah.
Jimi's decision now is to head to, let's say, the temple. Look for this priest.
Okay. As you approach the temple, Yoshimi, there are a few people scattered around in front of it. We're looking at like 10:45, 11 o'clock at this point, and there are two pretty large men in white and purple garb standing in front of the door. They are actively blocking the door into the temple.
Trying to look at my skills that I might. What about any back entrances, side entrances, something like that?
Make a stealth check to skirt around the side of the building.
Okay. 12.
I would give it to you on a 12. They seem to be pretty preoccupied with the people directly in front, trying to. One of the men is talking to a cluster of people. The other one is kind of looking off to the side. The DC for this wouldn't be super high, so just walking as casually as you can up until you get to the side of the building out of their eyesight, their line of sight. You can get around the right side of the building much easier. You choose to go there. And as you kind of snake around this building, um, there is a small, you find kind of like, it almost looks like a hatch, uh, or like a cellar or something like that, with a door that opens up. And if you look into that door, there is a ladder that goes down.
Okay. And if it helps, my wood elf, has a trait like Mask of the Wild, so hiding even when I'm only lightly obscured is stealth is okay. Um, let's go towards the ladder, and now if I'm at the top of the ladder, do I see anything else new around the corner?
Looking down, the shaft that the ladder runs down uh, is very well kept. It seems to be. It doesn't look old or unused at all. It seems to be something that is likely used every day, or several times a week at the very least. The ladder is in very good condition, and it seems to be well lit down at the bottom, uh, either through magical means or by torchlight. You can't tell exactly from where you are.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go down the ladder, just pretty
Okay.
cautiously. If there's any more guards that I might.
Make a stealth check again at advantage with your Mask of the Wild.
Okay, 18.
With an 18, you make it down the ladder. You cause very little noise. Um, it's largely a wooden ladder with a few metal joint fasteners, just to make it more secure. So your boots don't make a lot of noise heading down the ladder, and you're able to walk down a small corridor. Again, very well lit, very intricate stonework on the walls and the floor, and there are several banners on either side that you would know, being in the town for about a week, represent Ilmater. His insignia is two hands, at least in this town, two hands facing upwards towards the sky, bound by a rope of thorns. You see that insignia on many banners across this hallway. And as you're going through, there is only one door at the very end of the hallway on the right hand side. As you approach the door, you can hear um, the deep voice of a deep male voice.
Okay. And she would be wearing like either really light boots or kind of those like old like samurai sandal shoe things, the like leather.
Yeah, I figured she's pretty walking pretty lightly, regardless of the terrain.
But I'll continue along the wall past these banners
Mm-hmm.
toward the door or doorway or
Yeah, it's a singular door.
okay. Um, is the door locked? I'll check the door.
The door is not locked.
I just want to put my ear to it next.
Yeah, with your passive perception, you can very clearly hear a man's voice chanting in a language that you do not recognize. But it definitely feels like some type of ritual or chant or incantation. And you don't recognize the voice, I should say that.
Yeah. But it's a single man's voice, not like multiple.
As far as you can tell, just one source.
Okay. Uh, what about the rest of the hallway? Are there other doors that I could head towards?
Nope, just the one. It's like 20-foot hallway lined with banners, and at the very end of the hallway on the right-hand side, there's this door that you're standing outside of.
Okay. What do I want to do? It would be a little something I was thinking would be just escalate really quickly. Don't want to do that.
Fucking kick a door in.
Yeah, just like my bone. Yeah. Are you fucking Strode's wife? Yeah.
Just yell at the top of your lungs. Thaumaturgy.
And it's so funny now playing a character with like no spells, so it's just what would a person do, you know,
Right.
with their tools and their abilities. Well, I think I'm gonna try to stealthily enter. I think I can do that. At least try that.
Okay, so you can see light coming from underneath the door, and your hallway is lit. So I will allow you to roll a stealth check at disadvantage.
Okay. It's a 16.
Dang. Okay.
I rolled 11 and
with
like
a
20.
With a 16, you are able to open the door, and it does not creak. Upon opening the door, what you see immediately, you see the back of the man who you heard chanting. He is standing fully erect, and he is waving his arms in the air, kind of, in a circular-ish motion over a table. And as you kind of move in and close the door behind you very carefully, you can see past him just enough to make out a very nice set of work pants and work boots, and a whole lot of blood. And as you move even further into the room, or kind of like around to the right, behind this man that is chanting and waving his arms, not paying attention to you at all, you can see very clearly that it is, in fact, Mr. Strode, covered in blood, laying on the face of the table.
There's a pretty obvious answer. Whose pants and clothes? I was going to ask, is that a press shirt? Oh, well, got the blood. It's a little evidence. Let's damn. I want to pull out my longsword. It's in the inventory as a longsword. I figured if we could do a katana.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, we can flavor it however you like.
Yeah, so I just pull
Katana's
out my
fine.
katana, and I will sneak up to the back of the priest and hold the katana to the front of his throat. Like, stop what you're doing.
As you do that, he stops speaking immediately, and stops waving his hands and puts his hands up like this. As you do that, you see in front of you a door on the opposite side of the room open, and a very tall, imposing figure in all black walks through, with a tattooed moon on her forehead. Ragna, what do you do as you walk into this scene?
So
There's a knife to this guy's throat, or a sword to this guy's throat.
Yeah, I
A
was gonna
dead
say
body on the table.
I would use my sword. Yeah, I have a knife, but I just use sword.
It's such a funny thing to walk into. Ragna's gonna reach out her hands and she's just gonna say, "Sit!" And she's gonna cast command at second level at both of them.
Is that a con save?
That is. It is a Wisdom 21 save.
Okay.
He might actually succeed that.
You might.
Nope, not with that roll. He sits it down immediately.
It's not a charm, being charmed? Or it
It's
is?
enchantment.
Okay. Because I have advantage against being charmed? Okay, never mind. Oh, well, I failed, but I'm going to use Indomitable.
Do it.
Shit. 17, so it fails.
Yay. Everybody's sitting. Man, what a fucking time to walk in the door. Jesus Christ.
So I want to leave it off there. This was a fantastic. This couldn't have happened better.
Jesus.
What a great introductory session for these two characters. I want to leave it
Ooh.
off there, and I'm going to have both of you ruminate on this. And when you come to the party later, I'm going to have an NPC that recognizes both of you at some point, and they're going to ask about this.
Nice.
And that's when I want this to be revealed. So this is
Yeah.
really well done. And perfectly timed. 10 minutes before ending.
Yeah.
Great.
What I like to think the high priest was trying to like resurrect him.
We don't know.
We're just like, stop.
In my brain, I assume that the priest was the one that was sleeping with his wife, and Strode came to talk to him about it,
Yeah,
and the
like,
priest
fuck
killed
up the
him
priest,
on
yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the priest has magic and Mr. Strode does not. So I'm assuming that the priest killed him on accident, and he tried to like fix his problem.
Yeah.
But whatever happens next is up to the two of you. We'll find that out on May 13th. A great session, guys. This was really awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for going along with something that I had no idea where it was going to go.
Thanks for running us through the role playing, gauntlet.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I've run something that it's largely, totally theater of the mind. Like obviously no maps other than the world map. That's cool. Lots of rolling and talking.
Was the intent, the shimmering on the door, an indicator from Il Mater as a designation of, hey, there's pain here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody acting on my behalf is causing somebody pain, and you need to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great session, guys. I am gonna go and perfect timing from everybody involved. Archer is waking up, so I'm gonna go help him. But
Nice.
Awesome. Great job,
All right,
guys. I will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.